purpose of government. The purpose of government is nugatory, it's a negative purpose. Its purpose is to stop coercion, it's to stop people from hurting each other, it's to interfere with people when they begin to bring force down on other people. And isn't it a sad thing when that force, which by the way George Washington described as a dangerous force, a fearful master, has become the agent in apparently in our well-being in our families. It's obvious that they don't do well at that. They do much better just stopping bad things, don't they? So, let's see what else. Just a couple other points, perhaps. You all know, I'm sure you've been told today what we've been seeing, the arbitrary application of law, of guidelines, of rules. We're talking about unexplained and inexplicable aberrations. They have the right to waive rules, but they have to explain it. They don't bother, do they? No. We've seen many deviances from rules and laws. We're to the point where in listening to one of the individuals before redress of grievances say, or in fact I had to ask that person, I said, would you call this random? Arbitrary? Now anybody who looks up the word tyranny understands that the word arbitrary is one of the definitions of tyranny. A predictable set of laws that governs people and governments is what we have in any other kind of a nation. Civilized nations require law, not arbitrariness in our systems, in any part of it. It's obvious to me that one of the things the family division is doing is injuring kids to force fathers to do something. I would have to say that anyone with a moral grounding would know that you don't mess with kids' relationships with both parents to force one of the parents to do something. You don't ever do that. But they're doing it. And I do wonder about that. I had a woman say to me today on the street when she heard I was coming over here, she said, don't we maybe need some training in ethics in various parts of our government? Don't we need some basic training in morals? I mean, what is it out here that's going on that somebody thinks that they can injure children's lives? But this is the nature of government, by the way. It's back to that question of force. We will use force and we will injure children if that's what it takes. That's the force that we think that will force the parent, the father, whatever it is. One of the other things we found recently was that in a interview with another individual who's got a problem with the courts, a judge actually said to him that he believed that you guys who work for yourselves are probably lying to us about how much money you make. It doesn't matter if you show us your taxes, it doesn't matter what you say, it doesn't matter that there's no evidence to the contrary. We're going to give you a different number because we believe it's out there somewhere and you're going to find it. And one of the most outrageous kinds of statements, but right out the mouth of a judge, was that basic statement in just one line. Just astonishing stuff to my mind, and unacceptable stuff to any of us who actually are here to represent the people. I guess maybe the last thing I should say is that there is a thing about representative government that, despite its ugliness to us when we were working there, the old sausage factory stuff, and for you seeing us how slow we work and all that stuff, it's still the most beautiful form of government there is when your goal is liberty, to protect liberty, isn't it? And yet the state of New Hampshire has something even more beautiful. It has redress of grievances. No other state has an active redress of grievance process. And I'm very proud to be the chairman of the first Redress of Grievances Committee I think that's ever existed in the state. It's extremely exciting to me, and I was actually about to step out of government for the very reason you guys, for these kinds of reasons, thinking, well, I'd be much better off just going back to the media and just working in the media, because I believe the media is actually a better force, it potentially has a better impact than one out of 400 individuals in the State House. So I certainly hope you guys will keep doing what you're doing. I'll leave you with this one thought, and that is Thomas Ball, as an individual, was a person who suffered like many of you have, but I recognize him as something else, and he's now become a symbol. He's become a symbol of the need for injustice. He's become a symbol of injustice itself, but he's a cry. He's a cry in the wilderness for justice in in the halls of the legislature, out of the halls of the Attorney General's office, and out of the halls of the court. By the way, the Attorney General's office, I just found out yesterday, did a little excursion into trying to sue the Redress of Grievance Committee, by the way, to just show their dedication to you all and the great principles of representative government. Fortunately, our Constitution denies them that right. They don't have that power, and we would just love to have that fight. It's an old make my day moment. But isn't that interesting who these people are? And of course, they made their colossal statement recently, to which we responded. But happily, though, we do have redress of grievances, and I want to praise our Speaker, William O'Brien. There's nobody in the state of New Hampshire besides him, apart from myself, Dan Itz, and a couple other liberty lovers here, who would ever have done that, ever. Representative O'Brien, as a representative, sat and listened to some of you here. He didn't buy everything was being said, but he saw enough, and he believed that we had a problem, and he also believed that you all have an absolute right, as expressed by Representative Lambert, to have your wrongs from which you suffer listened to and redressed. I guess I should say one last thing. By way of, I want to encourage you, but I also want to discourage some of what you're doing in one sense, and that is, don't take this wrongly, I hope you won't. Redress, in the founders' sense, when they were asking for redress from the king, they weren't asking the king to come back over there and pay him back for the taxes they should have been fraudulently fined for. They were asking for a change in the way government's behaving. And I know that all of you have come before my committee. It really looks like you want me to fix your situation. We're not a court, and we can't actually individually fix you. But if you'll keep doing this, and we all do this together, we can make a better state, and this won't be happening to your children in the next generation. And with that, thank you very much. Thank you for being here, and thank you for allowing me to speak with you.
I'm going to steal us back for a second, because you all came out today to help make a point. This year, the legislature went out and they made the argument to put CACR 26 on the ballot so that the people can restrain the power of the courts. I did my job. Representative Ingerson, my co-sponsor on CACR 26, he did his job. We sold it in the House, we passed it. We sold it in the Senate, we passed it. We've put it on the ballot. But unless a massive effort is put together by the people, and unless the people get together and understand this and do their job, we all lose. This is not like other legislation. This is not when we pass it and the Senate passes it, it's done. This puts the ball in the people's court. It will be on the ballot, and every person who walks into a voting booth in November needs to know why they must say yes. It is your job and your challenge today to leave here and spread the message of the power that comes from restraining the courts. Are you ready for the challenge? Are you going to share it on your Facebook? Are you going to write letters to the editor? Are you going to get out signs? Are you going to tell your friends? Are you ready? Because if you're not ready, it won't matter, and you came out today for nothing. With that, whoever's in charge can have the mic.
Well, this big, huge crowd we've gathered here, I do want to thank Representative Lambert and Representative Ingridson for taking time out of their day, coming all the way down here to our beautiful town of Keene, New Hampshire, to speak to us. Their message was very powerful, And just to answer one of Mr. Ingretson's questions about what kind of man Tom Ball was, something I just discovered last night. Thomas Ball is in direct lineage from our founding father of this country, George Washington. George Washington's mother's name was Mary Ball.
Wow.
So that's the kind of man he was. Again, I just want to thank the representatives for coming out. I want to thank Ian Freeman for allowing us to use his PA system. It was very generous of him, so we could be heard over the traffic. And I would actually like to take the microphone. So thank you guys.